Welcome back to another episode of The John, your daily sports dump, where we plunge into the sports world. We are a sports pipeline for breaking news, game recaps, and the hottest takes in the sports industry. So I take care of business, let us fuss out the details, and fill you in on what's happening. Take a seat, get comfortable, and make sure you have plenty of TP. It's time to explode the commode. I'm your host, John, and today we're not just joined by myself. We're joined by a former top prospect or top high school player in Illinois, a guy who was committed to South Carolina, who's been all the way over to Alabama, to Florida, and now at Francis Marion. Catcher Zander Buchan. Xander, thank you for taking time to out of your busy, season just started to join me today.
Absolutely. No, I really appreciate you. I really appreciate you, hitting me up. We go way back with, especially hitting and, baseball days. So I really appreciate it.
Totally. So, since obviously you didn't finish your high school career in Illinois, but you grew up in Illinois, you're from the area. So, obviously, went to for people who know the Central Suburban, went to Maine South, messed up my Niles West when I was there.
Something
Um,
like that.
Coming out of Illinois, like obviously you moved, but being like one of the highest ranked guys, right, coming into high school, what was that kind of like? Was there like, did you feel like an added pressure of like a lot of people in the baseball world, especially in Illinois, knew who you were coming into high school?
You know what? My recruiting process started really, really early. Obviously, I committed my freshman year.
Hmm.
But not really. Everything that happened and everything that the way everything went, and obviously being that young, you could definitely have added pressure to it. But I grew up, had the right people around me. My parents were always on me like that, so I didn't really ever let the pressure. If anything, I kind of like ate it up. Like I liked everything that was going on. I never let any of that get to me either. Like I was just a ranking. Like I've always known all of that stuff is doesn't mean nothing because if you can't produce and show yourself on the field, it doesn't mean nothing. So, I was hungry and I never really let it, but it was definitely awesome. Like it was something cool to hear. I liked, but I was very at the same time very. It didn't affect me in any way.
Totally, totally. And I think, I mean, in Illinois, I don't know if you remember, this pitcher from Evanston. He was at Belmont. I'm blanking on his name right now. He was another one of the dudes who was
Hmm.
like one of those like guys, like
For
everyone knew who
sure.
he was. And he pitched against Niles West when I was there, and everyone was talking like this dude throws hard. Like
Yeah,
it's everyone knows about them, and then when you're playing them, it's just like that dude's the whole attention. And I feel like
absolutely.
you got to be the right person for that, especially because I mean, it's one thing to be right. I'm in Peoria for Bradley
For
to be
sure.
like big in that area, but to be bigger in the Chicago suburb area, that's a whole nother animal.
For
Because
sure. Because no,
with
it's
all the
big out
social,
there. Yeah, there's a
mhm,
lot of
all the
people out
social
there.
media,
Absolutely.
and especially in our conference with Nutrier and all that, that's no fluke.
No, there's good baseball out in
Mhm.
that area, especially what is that? What would that Park Ridge area be? Is that West Side,
I th
North Side?
North side, north side.
Okay, yeah, no, there's good competition. Like I really enjoyed it. And obviously, my sophomore year, COVID hit, so that was supposed to be a really good year for Maine South, and our program was Brian Lorenz was definitely changing the program up for sure.
Hmm. Yeah, and right, you obviously moved to South Carolina. What was the kind of what did that Illinois baseball, right? Because Illinois and South Carolina, weather-wise, when the baseball season starts, I mean, it is like
Absolutely.
it's night and day. So, what did growing up in that Illinois and playing in that Illinois weather when you were young teach you when you got to South Carolina?
So I'll definitely tell you the difference between the two areas. It's like when you're up north and you only can play baseball for like 4 or 5 months of the year until it gets cold again. It's a lot more gritty up north and a lot more off. You actually get to spend your off season to work on things and hit the gym hard. That was one thing I did see a difference is back in Chicago. Like everyone during the winter time, you got to hit the gym hard. You had to work inside. You had to use the cages inside. I know in Maine South we didn't have indoor facilities, so we were inside of our little track area and doing stuff down there. But down here in South Carolina, people play baseball all year round. So they don't no one takes time to like obviously you have your few people that take time to train and but there's no off season here. Like you go from season to preseason, then you go to summer ball, then you go fall ball. Like everyone just plays baseball down here. There's
Gee,
no let's actually sit down this off season and actually work on things that we need to get better, and take this 6 months to get as strong as you can, like people do up north.
geez, yeah, that's. That sounds like, I mean, for me, because I mean, the off season is like a perfect thing. I would swim in the winter.
Right.
And like even all my buddies, and guys who I played high school baseball with who were like one of the better guys, they had even like they would take breaks. I mean,
Mhm.
that's the one thing that, and I'm talking about it in like my classes and stuff, is
Right.
sometimes the kids play the sport too much to where they get sick of it and they end up, they beat, right, they're one of the best guys in the state, but they don't want to play in the next level because they played it
Absolutely.
so much. So I think that's
Right.
a
Yeah.
really important thing that the weather teaches you.
Yeah. No, down here it's baseball all year round, and you see a lot of people down here in the South that they don't play other sports because
Mhm.
they're playing baseball year round. When I was up in Chicago, it was like you got to play. You got seasons, so you got to play basketball. You got to
Yeah.
play baseball. You got to play football. I know back up north, hockey's huge too.
Yeah.
Like there's none of that down in the South
Totally. And
at
then
all.
my last sort of question about, the Illinois area, obviously the guy who brought us indirectly together, Joe Mazuka. For you guys who don't know who's watching, Joe was from the Illinois area, played Division One baseball at NIU, and then played professionally. So what was it like not only hitting from him, because he changed me a lot baseball wise,
Mhm.
got me a lot better, but also as someone who has done what your dream goal is to play in professional baseball.
Yeah, no. Well, first off, I want to say everything that Joe went through the grind with me to get me do everything. So like he was part of the process throughout the whole time. Like I still talk to Joe to this day. Like I actually ended up going back this summer just to go back and I had a rough season at Jack State, and I took a week off in the summer just to go back and just hit and just talk to Joe. Like Joe, more than everything, more than baseball, created like who I am today. Taught me some things, like life lessons. So I'd be hitting with Joe from 8 to 11 o'clock at night, and he would just sit there and throw BP, and he got to teach me one thing about Joe is one thing that he taught me was just the mental game of baseball. Like you can be all good you want, put in all the work, and have all the talent in the world, but if you don't have up here at a certain level, you'll never succeed in this game because this game's fail. You fail 70% of the time, you're a Hall of Famer. So this game has a lot of tools that teaches you, and Joe was part of the process the whole way. I have a lot of respect for Joe and everything that he's done, and especially with my family. He's been here the whole time, and I appreciate him a lot.
Totally. And wouldn't be, I had some issues with Joe. You'd always hit me with
Oh,
you
he's
got,
Italian, so
yeah, you
he's got
gotta,
that little hothead in him.
it's, and trust me, me and my brother, if Joe sees this, knows we put Joe through the ringer a few times, but no,
Absolutely.
Joe knows what he's talking about. And if for anyone, I mean, he changed me and my baseball swing and how much I enjoyed the game. I enjoyed the game more because I was able to hit the ball more.
Right.
I hit a bunch of home runs when I was on his team, so
Yeah.
that was awesome. So yeah,
Absolutely.
he's been a great help for me, and I would assume for a lot of Maine South guys as well, because it's just like
Absolutely.
he's like the scout guy kind of. He just brings them
Yeah.
all to Maine South, and just they all just. I mean, that's why Maine South is always so good.
No, 100%. He knows what he's talking about. My swing hasn't changed at all, and everything, all my baseball success, and even all the other stuff is all because of Joe. I'm a switch hitting catcher because of Joe. Joe's the one that got me into switch hitting. He's the one that told me that if you quickest way to the league is becoming a switch hitting catcher and being good at it. So.
Mhm. Totally, and you talked about it a little before when we talked about going into your freshman year, how you had committed to
Mhm.
South Carolina. What was that moment like when you're writing up that post saying I'm committing to South Carolina before you even play a game in freshman year of high school? What was that kind of like? And also, it's not like you're going to, and this is no offense to my Bradley Braves, it's not like you're going to a small school. You're going to an SEC baseball school, and it's
Yeah.
South Carolina, who's one of the consistent, like legit. So what was that kind of like?
No, it was an unreal experience, an unreal feeling. Everything during that time really hit me fast. Like I had a few offers, and they all came at me in like a room of like a week and a half, 2 weeks. Like it was just off. Like everything was coming after me, and then I ended up being able to take visits. So obviously, I took all my visits beforehand, but when it came to offers, they all came and hit me really fast, and I fell in love with South Carolina when I stepped on campus. Going down there for a little hitting camp, and I got to meet all the coaches, saw the facilities, understood that it's gonna be hot all year round. And that was one thing I loved. But no, everything that happened and how it all went down, it's an unreal feeling. And I want to thank the Lord that I got to experience that, and especially my family that kept me pushing to do it all. But when I committed, and it didn't. Nothing about me changed because I always had that little drive and to being the best. And I took that. It really doesn't matter where you play college baseball at. At the end of the day, you need to find the right fit. And at the same time, it was an SEC school, but if you are good and you are bound to play in the league, they will find you. So it doesn't really matter where you go. But that was one thing I did want to do out of high school was I wanted to play SEC baseball. If I was going to go to college, I wanted to be at the best conference, play the best competition, get the most opportunities to, accomplish my goal, which would be become a major league baseball player. But no, that day when I committed, I got off the phone with Mark Kingston, and I just got to share the rest of that night with my family. Like it was just one step closer to my goal. But at the same time, I'm a freshman, so I still have 4 years to. I can't slow down. It's only up from there. Like I took it. This was just another stop in the road, and at the end of the day, I still have a goal to accomplish, and that's really how it all went.
Totally, totally. And you talked about it a little bit, like when you were just talking. When an SEC schools offers you, does it sort of make you right? Because like you said, playing D1 baseball or college baseball in any means is like an accomplishment in itself. But when it comes from like an SEC school like South Carolina, right? Like it's not people like to do this thing where it's like a if they like one of the worst Big Ten teams offers you for football, it's the worst Big Ten team. You're still playing Big Ten football.
Exactly.
Like with South Carolina, it's one of the best in baseball year in and year out. Did that kind of also, right? You talked about how you're grateful for all the stuff. Did that kind of also make you feel like I'm one of the better guys in my class because not only an SEC school, but one of the better SEC schools
No,
offered me?
absolutely, absolutely. It definitely boosted a little, in me. But my fault. I'm gonna. There we go. It definitely boosted a little bit of that fire in me. Like I was definitely very, very excited, and it just allowed. It really showed me like that was my sign that I'm like, or not sign, but like that little intuition of like I'm actually pretty good at baseball. Like it kind of I always knew I was good, but like it actually showed me like hey like I'm. It's pretty rare. Like I'm a freshman in high school, haven't even stepped on the high school field yet, and I'm getting these looks. I'm even getting offers to play at a top school and compete against the best. Like you see, year out, year in, the SEC is one of the top conferences that gets draft picks throughout all the rounds. So it definitely boosted me up, but it really at the same time like it told me like hey there's no you can't get complacent here. Like you need to stay on your grind because I've always been told since I was young that there's always someone right behind you.
Mhm.
And if you're going to stop, they won't. So,
Exactly.
to keep pushing.
Totally. And I think that's, I mean, and we'll talk about it a little more when we get into your college, more into your college journey. But I think that is so it's true. It was true right before all this NIL and transfer portal, and it's even more true now because they'll find dudes. I mean, I know I'm relating college baseball, college basketball. Rick Pitino said he doesn't even recruit high school guys anymore. He
Right.
literally just looks at transfers. So
Yep.
there's always someone if you're like if you are not confident in your ability or if you don't think you're doing enough, there's always someone who will take that opportunity right away. And who knows, maybe it
Absolutely.
becomes another superstar. Um, and then this is my last sort of question on South Carolina. What was it like being at those, right? Because obviously every school has different facilities, but when it's an
Right.
SEC school, I know we've kind of hammered it home. They're going to have arguably the nicest stuff in the country that colleges can have. So, what was it
Absolutely.
like being around those insane facilities at South Carolina?
Oh, everything about South Carolina was like a baseball player's dream. The field was perfect every day. We had grounds crew. Bullpens were perfect. Dirt was perfect. Grass was cut. Clothes were washed. Locker room was clean. Weight room was spotless. Like everything was perfect. Everything when you go to SEC school, you definitely get treated. You get treated better than some minor league like through the system. Like you get treated better than that. Like SEC was like we had our own dining hall, which I was going there. I was getting seafood pasta. I was getting Parmesan chicken. buffet style, being able to go up multiple times. So they everything going being in part of those big programs and being part of stuff like that, you definitely get treated better, and you have better more. How do I say this? You get a better chance of being, really good, or a better opportunity with all the things you have available to yourself.
Totally, totally. And then, right, obviously, for anyone who doesn't know, you transferred out of South Carolina to
Right.
not just any school. Like you would think, right? Most people just looking from the outside think a guy who's at an SEC school would transfer to like a smaller, like a Bradley, like a smaller
Hmm.
school and get more playing time. You decided to go to a Division I JUCO, Chipola, which is for most people who don't know, is a very successful junior. Like it's not another one of those. Oh, it's a legit junior college. So what made that Chipola the right place for you rather than another right smaller Division I school?
Yeah. No, absolutely. So my jump was I went to South Carolina, redshirted my freshman year. First game of my freshman year, I had Monty Lee come up to me and, give me the outline of why everything's gonna happen. I was playing behind Cole Messina, who was a second round draft pick, who SEC catcher of the year, like all of this. And, I saw the vision that, I probably wasn't getting much playing time, let me sit back and watch. And that year we actually ended up going to a super regional. But then the next fall, Cole was still there, so I ended up doing a fall my sophomore year at South Carolina, and transferred in December or January to JUCO, and only got to do the JUCO spring. But I had a few offers. I had Chipola, I had Florida Southwestern, and what made Chipola different was obviously, you know, it's past, and Coach Jeff Jefferson or Jeff Johnson over there was, absolutely love him to death and everything that he's allowed me to do. And one of the big aspects was, who Luke Collier is, Cam Collier.
Yes, yes.
So Cam Collier ended up going there before, I think, 2 years before me, and I used to train with Luke Collier,
Okay.
and that was one of my big connections. And he had a connection with Jeff Johnson, and that was really, my cue was like, I'm gonna follow one of my connections here, and it turned out perfectly for me. Got to get all my numbers, play my games, and get all the at bats. To My goal was to go back to D1, which allowed me to, go to Jacksonville State the next year.
Exactly. Yeah. And right, it's you talked about how SEC is right, you're treated better than some professional athletes in that sense. So
Right.
what was that jump from going to an SEC to Chipola right now? It's not like it's just some JUCO. Like they're legit, but obviously money is a lot different in a junior college aspect compared to Division I SEC baseball. So
Yeah, for
what was
sure.
that kind of like, and how does that, because some people you see get too comfortable with all the riches that they get and need to kind
Yep.
of be put to a place like that. And I'm not saying that was you, but for some people that helps them a lot because they're like,
Yeah.
what I had was crazy.
No, definitely you're blessed. It was definitely a big change. The facilities itself, like obviously, I'm playing baseball every day, so I could care less what it is. Like Chipola, we had a weight room in our facility. We had cages. We had everything at Chipola. Obviously, it wasn't. It was super nice. Like I don't get me wrong, Chipola was super nice, but it didn't have the money that University of South Carolina had, and all the extra things that South Carolina had. But I definitely think that you go to an SEC school. It's definitely ran differently. You're ran like a pro baller. Like you can get away with things at an SEC school that you couldn't get away with at a JUCO. You're pushed harder at a JUCO. I personally feel like.
I agree.
Um, there's also a rule limit. So like JUCO, you couldn't. There's no rules in what you do and how much time you're on the field compared to
Hmm.
D1 or any D1. There's rules in the fall and stuff like that. But no, I really enjoyed my time at Chipola. It was definitely 6 months of my life that I won't regret at all. Like everything I did there, everything that it turned me, what kind of ball player and person that it turned me into was everything I can imagine. And I have a lot of respect to everyone over there and the coaching staff over there. And I would recommend anyone that had a chance to go to Chipola definitely take that opportunity.
Totally. And I think you hit on it a little, but Japola is we talked about how successful it is. They've had a bunch of major league guys, right? Jose Bautista, Russell Martin, like they've had guys. And obviously that's your end goal. So was that another reason why like this was a place for you? Is because your end goal, no matter where
Absolutely.
you are, is to play at Major League Baseball. And to see
Right.
that people have been here and done that, I think I'm assuming, right, that had something to do with it.
Absolutely. And the connections that Jeff Johnson has over there at Chipola is endless. He'd probably pick up the phone and call anybody that you want. You know, endless scouts at practices. They're just friends of him. He's been in the system for so long. Like he's built connections and relationships that you shouldn't turn down that opportunity to go play for him. Like you're gonna be seen. It's definitely very competitive. You're gonna have people at every spot that can be a starter. So you're definitely gonna learn that aspect. He expects greatness out of you. He doesn't, every day, day in and day out, you should be great. And that's what he expects. And that's what he puts online. All the coaching staff, the whole entire coaching staff over there. So everything about it. But yeah, no, he has endless connections. Scouts, college scouts, major league scouts, all of it.
That's awesome. And then, right, obviously you did a great job there, and then the coaches at Chipola helped set you up to Jackson State, where obviously you went back, you accomplished, right, you said your goal to go back to Division One baseball.
Right.
You went back there. What was that experience like? Because obviously it's different. Obviously, everywhere you go is going to be a different experience.
For
But
sure.
you, right, it's a mid-major. It's a competitive, like very good mid-major. Like
Yeah.
most people who don't watch college baseball don't know that it's a very competitive team.
Oh, for sure.
So what was it? What was that kind of experience like? Also, you're in Alabama, right? Now it's
Right.
completely different. It's not South Carolina. Like it's a different ball game.
No, again, no, Jack State, for a mid-major school has probably one of the nicest facilities and everything baseball about it. Like even the cages, turf field, the amenities that we get, the gear, everything about Jack State facility wise is amazing. I would say it's a lot more gritty. That was the first time we had 6 a.m. lifts over there. So that was the first time I actually had to get up Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday for lifting, and then go to the field, go to school, and have practice. So that definitely gave me a routine, which I really enjoyed. That I really enjoyed getting up 5:30 in the morning. Having to go to bed early and take care of homework. They definitely had a very high standard over there at Jack State, and the way they ran everything was very up to a high standard. But yeah, definitely a change than going to Alabama. That's really the South for me for
Yeah,
sure.
it's. I have a professor who went down there, and he says if you say to someone, right, like in sort of the Chicago area, if you just say how you doing to someone, it's not like a conversation thing. It's just like good, good, go your ways.
Right.
He said in Bama, if you do that, you're getting into a whole fledged conversation.
Oh, for
That
sure.
he says the
And-
culture shock is completely different.
oh, it's the South. Like you're gonna end up hearing about their whole family and everything about it. You'll have a bunch of stories.
Totally. And what was right? You talked a little bit about how much of a change was it. What was the culture like for baseball in Alabama, right? Because we've heard in South Carolina, right? You hear a lot of people, right? I was at South Carolina when I had my one of my out of state tournaments. Like South Carolina is a big place for baseball. You
Yeah.
don't hear a lot about Alabama. So what was the baseball culture like down there? Not even
Um.
just for Jackson State, but for the whole state in general.
Yeah. No. If you think about it, Alabama's got some good baseball down there. Like especially when it comes to colleges. You got Jack State. You got Auburn. You got Alabama. You got UAB. Alabama State. Sanford.
Yeah.
Like we have good baseball down there. It's definitely different. I don't know how the high school is down there and the recruiting process and stuff. We had a few kids from Alabama on our team and a lot of Southern kids, but a lot of Georgia kids.
Okay.
But no, it was definitely I would say, obviously the coaching staff that was there, like Steve Beazer, Tyler Packenick, all of them, they all came from Mizzou. So I had SEC coaching
Okay.
just at a mid major and they're definitely changing the structure over there for sure. And I think that that school, Jack State, will definitely be on the come up for top mid majors for sure. They're
Yeah,
doing a lot of nice things over there for
yeah.
sure.
This year, so I have a friend here. I don't know if you know him, Jackson Smith. He's from Illinois. He was at Bradley and he transferred to Cincinnati. So I had ESPN Plus on. I was just turned
Oh,
on.
so they played this weekend.
Exactly. And it wasn't
Absolutely.
they played, they hosted a Power
Yeah,
Four, which usually it's vice versa. So I think
absolutely.
that also shows like how good they're getting is Power Fours aren't paying them to come play.
For
They're
sure.
going down to play them. Like I think
Yeah.
that shows another thing is how much of a good baseball program that they are.
No,
And I
absolutely.
think in the C USA. I'm pretty sure they play Southern Miss as well, right? Is Southern Miss in the USA or it might
No,
be in another conference?
they're in so Southern Miss is in whatever Coastal's in. I forgot. I
Oh, Sun
forgot.
Belt. Sun Belt.
Something about
That's what
yep.
it is. Yeah,
Yep.
that's another thing. Like people don't realize the Sun Belt Conference for baseball is like high end, like
Oh, for
those are
sure.
pros. Like
For
I
sure.
mean, anywhere is pros, but that's one thing that I love about college baseball that I think you don't get. I mean, I love college basketball, don't get me wrong, but
Yeah.
you're not gonna go to a mid-major program and see two programs ranked in the top 15 in the
For sure.
country. Like
For sure.
you're just not gonna see that. And that's what I
Absolutely.
love about college baseball. Um, so right after Jack State, you obviously transferred again to now where you are, Francis
Yeah,
Marion.
so yep.
What made Francis Marion the right place, right? Because now you're at a D2, and like the thing that I dislike about college sports is, oh, he's at D2. You're at one of the
Right.
best D2 programs in the country.
For
So
sure.
like let's not get that twisted. Top 25, like legit. But what made this place the right place for you rather than right going to another D1 program? What was the decision process like for you?
Yeah, so I mean the one big thing about it is one, I don't know if you've seen our field. Our field is ridiculous for a D2 field. Like our amenities, our locker room is crazy for a D2 field. And then simply just the coaching staff. Jeff Jefferson, um, I have no complaints about anything that he does. That's our head coach. This is the one spot that, since day one, that my confidence and me being able to just play freely and not have to come in and change a bunch of things, but actually just do me on the field. And Jeff expects again greatness out of everyone every single day, and he just simply he is a player's coach for sure. I'd say all the whole entire coaching staff are players' coaches. Like they want the best for us. We know when it's time to have fun, and we know when it's time to lock in. But there's no. I would say how to explain. Just like you do something wrong, you're not gonna get in trouble. You're not gonna. It's not gonna impact your playing time. He played baseball. He's played at Liberty and was a catcher there, catcher first baseman. Like he knows what it's about. And I think obviously there was a big turn. He got the job here last year, and I don't know what the record was. They had we had the like the D. I think it was the NCAA biggest turnaround of
Wow.
college baseball. So, and now we're ranked 23rd in the country. We put up 77 runs this last weekend with 16 home runs
I mean,
in 3 games. So like we got a lot of stuff. He's got a lot of bonus, and just talking to him on the phone, I knew when I talked to him this summer, what he expected and everything that he said about how everything's going to get ran. Like his biggest thing, obviously, he wants to win, and that's no doubt about it. We all do, but the way he recruits, how they recruit the people that he have, like the whole team just flows together. Like there's no cliques, there's no this and that I've had at previous schools, and there's no jealousy. Obviously, being in college, like if you're not playing.
yeah.
No, we got jealousy going on. It's only you only play 9 people on the field, so like obviously you got a whole bunch of people sitting the bench, but there's none of that shown. And he sets that up as like we're gonna have a good team, and if you're not playing, then get better. Like that's just how it is. That's just how life is.
Totally, totally. And I think the thing, right, not only about um anyone, but I think specifically in America, like America in all their sports loves like a right the March Madness upsets, like loves the program turnarounds, right? You're seeing it now. I don't know if you keep up with college basketball. Miami, Ohio
Yep,
came out of nowhere. They're undefeated. They're top 25 in the country.
absolutely.
I think, you know, is personally, I would love to be a part of a program that just had one of the biggest turnarounds,
Oh,
and
for
is
sure.
now up, on the up. So I think that, I mean, I'm not going to take words out of your mouth. I feel like that also too, like you're on an upgoing program, an
Yep.
exciting program. You're getting all these young guys, and then you have an amazing first weekend. Like
Oh
I
yeah,
think
for sure.
that that's icing on the cake. So what are you trying to prioritize with this opportunity, right? Like, are you working on the mental side, right, of baseball, or is there something in your game you want to specifically see yourself improve on, right? I know the season literally just started, but what
Right.
is something you like a goal of yours that you want to happen this
Uh, this year, my main focus was, obviously I didn't play my freshman year. I redshirted, so I got to watch, and then went JUCO, had a great year, played all the time. Got recruited again, and ended up going to Jack State. And I was starter for the opening day. I started for the first 2 weekends. Was didn't hit. for nothing. I couldn't, I could walk up there with a shovel and I probably wouldn't make contact. That's how my season went last year. And, that was a big mental block. And that was me actually facing adversity and, having to do that. And then I ended up getting my position taken and I didn't play the rest of the year. So I had to go through that. So there's a lot of learning things last year. And this year, first day I got here starting in the fall, I was just working on, just being calm and, just working on my mental game for when I get to the game, bringing back to how I was in high school. There was no thinking. It was just playing. It was fun. Like, don't get me wrong, baseball's fun, but, having to go through what I went through last year, just that mental block was just, it was tough. It was tough, sitting the bench, you were the starter and then, you know, backup or even it wasn't even backup. We were just competing, and then I just got beat out. So I was just having to deal with all that, and it definitely mentally got me stronger for sure. And that was one thing I'm working on here because it's my fourth year, so there's not much big changes you can do. Obviously, you've played baseball. One day your swing doesn't feel great. That's just how baseball is. But there's nothing really to change. And I had a bad time was one bad day I had hitting, I had to go back in the cage and change everything. That was my biggest weakness was just I was a mental case when it came to hitting. Like catching was never a problem. I still to this day think I can go catch in the big leagues right now.
Mhm.
It was just the hitting aspect and having to deal with failure, having to go having to learn that you need to go pitch by pitch or even at bat to at bat and not to carry the last at bat to your next at bat. So that's one thing I'm working on right now and I've been very successful
Mhm.
as of right now. And
I think another thing you hit on perfectly with what you had to deal with last year, right? Starting as a starter, then losing your spot. I think that's another. You talked earlier. If you fail 7 out of 10 times, you're a Hall of Famer. I
right.
think that just adds more, like what you said, of how this game is literally all failure. And
Right.
for some reason, we still go back and we still love playing. Like I still play. I play wearing my club baseball shirt right
Right.
now. I
Yes,
still
sir.
like I play in a men's league, like no matter what, and even if I play terrible one game, I'm still gonna come back to the game. But I think
Exactly.
you hit a great point of like that was one of the hardest years probably for you in your baseball career ever, and
Right.
you took it and you said, "All right, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna learn from it, and I'm gonna go here and I'm gonna ball out." And now you guys are definitely um balling out.
Yeah,
So
for
to ki-
sure.
to kind of right talk about we're talking a little bit about failure and the mental side of baseball. How do you talked how you were kind of a little bit like overthinker when it came to hitting.
Sure.
And you said you still are. How would you deal with like an 0 for 4 night, let's say prior to now, like to compared to let's say you go 0 for 4 tomorrow, right? What is different in your mindset 2 years ago to now?
Oh, probably 2 years ago. I'm after that game. I'm probably going to the cages and I'm hitting, and I'm hitting great. Like so, like there's no that day. I was just I had something had to change. It in my hands, my this, my leg. Maybe I don't do a leg kick. Like that's how my mind went when I had an 0 for 4 day. Like I was just something had to change. Something wasn't right. And then like compared to now, if I had an 0 for 4 day yesterday, I'd make tomorrow even more simple. Like I would be like, nothing needs to change. It's just like baseball is all about a confidence thing. Like it's that and it's timing. Like you got baseball's hard, so it's being able to understand that baseball is hard and that when I do fail, I just need to trust. Like nowadays, I trust that I work hard enough and I swing every day and I make things challenging. So when go hit on my own, like I try to make that harder than what the game is. And, I've been really good on just letting things go. But the biggest key is just, every time I walk up to the plate now is like, I am better than you. I'm better than that dude on the mound. He has nothing that's going to beat me. And not out loud, but I'm thinking I'm the best player on that field.
Oh yeah.
I'm the best player on that field, and no one is better than me in everything that I do. And it's not me showing it and not being humble, but that's just if you want to succeed at this level, I don't even care what level it is. Like you can be D3 baseball, you can be JUCO, you can be D2, and you can, not be on a good team, you can be on a good team. To have success in this level in college in general, you need to have a little, edge on your shoulder. You need to walk around on that field like you are the best player, and then you'd have confidence in the work that you do.
I mean that was I completely agree with that. I think especially now in college with social media, you
Hmm.
see all these people, some get too overconfident, like Diego Pavia.
Hmm.
After he got I believed he should have won. But what he
Right.
did was like not good. Like there's a point of being confident and being like, all right, like this guy is good and he's not cocky, arrogant, who like shoves it down your face. But having that confidence and believing in yourself is something that will carry you. There's a reason why you've been able to play 4 years of college baseball. Like it's not
Hmm.
a fluke. And
Right.
that is a perfect segue to my next question, right? We see a lot of these high schoolers in any sport, in baseball, basketball, like any sport, football, a lot of people who commit before they play a high school game, everyone's like, "Oh, they'll wash out. Like they're not going to make it throughout college. Like they'll stop playing, stuff like that." And you've literally defined that. You've went against everything that people, right? Some people will say, "Oh, he committed his fresh like before he even played. There's no way he's making it." And you've made it. So what do you attribute to being able to, right, listen, hear all the noise of people saying he's not going to be able to make it through all 4 years of college. He's not going to be able to be like a competitive player, and you've been the exact opposite of that. You've
Yeah.
battled through everything, and you've become a successful player now. So
Yeah.
how do you think you've been able to do that?
All I can say for that is that you truly need to love this game.
Hmm.
Like that's one thing I say. If you want to play this game, like you truly need to love it. Like you need to be able to go lift tired. Like we're playing right now. I didn't want to lift today, but I knew that's what I needed to do. We had practice from 3 to 5:30. I showed up at like 1:30, 2 o'clock to just get some extra work in. Like I truly love going to the field. Like that's my happy place. And you know, especially working on. I do a lot of things now mentally. Like that work helped me through this because last year I was in a bad patch. Like it's not that I wanted to quit baseball, but this baseball wasn't fun. Like I wasn't playing. Like we would do challenging things, and I wasn't very good at it. And it dad just had me tweak, and I just put in so much extra hours into the wrong things. Like obviously, I really agree on if you want to go hit as much as you want. Like I've always been hitting as much. Obviously my parents owned a batting cage, and I was there every day for hours. It was just the fact that last year it caught up that I was worried about the wrong things and trying to do the wrong things that I just messed everything up. But you got to truly love this game, and you need to sleep, breathe, and eat it. Like it's a root. It's a job. Like I don't treat it like a job, but it's a job. Like this is my job right now.
Yeah,
I go to school, I go to practice, I go lift, and tomorrow's my test. I got a game tomorrow, so tomorrow is my day that I get to put everything on the line and everything that I worked for. I get to do it. Like I truly love it, and I truly this game baseball makes me just very happy. Takes every other worry in the world, push out the door, and I'm playing baseball now.
exactly. I think that's. I mean, that was as a baseball guy, I kind of like that.
Mhm.
Like
For sure.
that's what it. That's what baseball like. I mean, any sport should be for an athlete. Is it should when the sport gets to a point where you feel like you have to hit, you have to go field, you have to lift, you have to put in those extra hours, then you shouldn't be playing the sport. Like,
Absolutely.
especially at the college level, where now I think this is going to happen a lot more. You're going to get a lot of guys who play and then just stop
Yeah.
because now it's with all the NIL money, it's starting to become more of a job than an actual like just playing it because you love the game.
All
And
right.
that's what I'm worried about with all this stuff is you're going to get great athletes who just don't want to who just do it not because they enjoy it because they need the money. And
Right.
that's right. There's a good thing and like a bad thing. Like I think athletes should have been getting paid for forever. But
Mm-hmm.
now it's like, are the athletes going to take advantage of that and not really care as much? So I think
Right.
that's something that you're kind of a bright light and a very, as you know, with all the NCAA stuff right now and
For sure.
transfer portal and all that NIL stuff, it is a mess. So that's one of the good bright lights that we've gotten from this. What was now I'm going to kind of talk about the transfer of what it was like from high school to college ball. What was that kind of like for you?
It was big change. Like obviously, level of competition was through the roof. Obviously, I went from high school to then going to my freshman year being a super regional contending team. So we had a lot of draft picks that year. We can go. Who was that year? It was like Will Sanders got drafted by the Cubs. Obviously Cole Messina was our catcher. Got drafted by the Rockies. Noah Hall, who got drafted by the Mets. I can keep going. There's probably about 4 or 5 more kids from that team there got drafted either that year or even the next year. So like level of baseball that year, I even struggled there too when I got there. Like it was the game kind of sped up for me a little bit, and I think that's one thing that if there was one thing I could change or even tell someone younger than me that just, it's the same level of game. And, obviously you go from being high school senior and then going back to being a freshman.
Mm.
And, you're not big dog on campus no more. So just being able to go through all that. But, it was a great experience. I got to watch really good baseball. I've never played in front of 10,000 fans
Yeah,
before.
that
You've been on the dugout and, do things like that. So it was really, really cool.
totally. Yeah, I think that's one thing that's kind of on my bucket list as a sports guy. Just to, I mean, I was at a Vanderbilt game. They played. I want to. They didn't play a great team. My team, high school team, went down there for a tournament, and I was able to experience. And it wasn't even like a full capacity Vanderbilt baseball game,
Hmm.
but still, I mean, you've been at SEC baseball. Not a full capacity game is still like almost a sellout. It's just not
For sure.
body to body. So that was one of the best experiences I've been able to see.
For
Right,
sure.
and
Yeah.
I think that's something that, I mean, that especially as right as a fan, it's cool, but as a player, like when I was at sectionals for swimming, these stands are like body to body and they're screaming it's all loud. And I'm nervous and I'm on the deck. Like I'm not even swimming and I'm
Yeah.
getting nervous. So I can imagine what it's like 10,000 people, right? Some people are drinking during the game, so some
Yeah.
drunk people like that is a huge change from when you're at a high school game and it's just some old dad cursing you out. Like it's a completely different
For sure.
monster.
No, for sure. South Carolina, we had a lot of hecklers, like especially
Oh,
student sections. And when we traveled, and I was the bullpen guy then, so obviously had a lot of opposing fans sitting there talking a lot, talking crazy actually. But it's fun though. It's something that not a lot of people get to experience. So like just you know me redshirting, I just got to live that moment and just
that's
enjoy what was going on.
totally. And right to kind of keep on talking about that. How tough was the grind? It's a completely different thing than high school where you might have 1 to 2 games a week. You're having a
Yeah.
whole series. You're right. Going all over the country. What was that kind of like? Your freshman and saw like getting used to it. Right now you're kind of in the flow of it. But what
Right.
was it like at first when you're like, geez, I'm gonna be in Chicago and then next week I'm gonna be in LA. Like what
Yeah.
was that kind of like?
Nah, it was awesome. It's definitely I enjoyed all of it, especially traveling. Especially my freshman year, being able to again, go SEC. So we went to Mississippi State, we went to Arkansas, Kentucky, we went to Vanderbilt that year, Georgia. So just going over there, enjoying their facilities and their cultures and, being gone on a weekend, you're up for breakfast, you gotta go to breakfast, you get your lifts in still. So like it's all day still things and then you got a game that night.
Mhm.
So it's definitely, you got to time manage things well. That's your life. So, obviously there's a lot of things you got to sacrifice.
Mhm.
During this year, like during spring, I never have a weekend off.
Oh,
So I don't get to enjoy weekends and, go on vacations. I've never been able to do that during this time and even summer because after this, you go play summer ball. So
yeah.
it's definitely time consuming and you definitely sacrifice a lot of things that, regular people get to do and enjoy.
Totally. And to kind of right now you're in your senior, you got a lot of flow going. What
Hmm.
would you say a game day is like for you? And right, since tomorrow's a game day, let's say, right, run us through a game day. What's your game
Okay.
day routine like? Is there something? I'm very superstitious as a baseball
Yeah.
guy. Like I believe if I step on the line, I'm messed up. My thing when I would come to the plate, I hit the far corner, the inside corner. I do one turn when I get, or else I'm not having a good at bat. So is there
Yeah.
anything like during a game day that you've had even since you were little that you need, and then obviously your game day routine now?
So one thing I learned over college and the past couple of years was like I try to get rid of any superstitions because
Okay.
stuff can happen. I used to have a big thing of I had to get my routine in the cage before I hit. And if I didn't do that, I mentally blocked myself that I was going to be bad that day. So when it comes to baseball itself, I don't have any superstitions now. If I show up to the field, like I don't have to show up an hour early. I don't have to do this. But one thing I do still to this day is my right sock is inside out and my left sock's normal. So that's one thing I've been doing since I was 12U, just, playing with the Parker Talks. Like that's
Yeah.
where I started. But when it comes to any superstitions, tomorrow sucks. So Tuesdays suck for me because I got an 8:30 class. So I'll be up, but it's game day tomorrow. So I'll be up at like 7:30. Shower. Got to throw on a little fit, a little feel good. I'm big on that. Feel good, play good. So I go to my first class, and then I'll go to my second class, and I'll come home. We got a little grill here, so I'll probably get a coffee. And then, okay, one thing I do when I am playing, I don't like to eat before games. So I'll get something light, but I won't put anything heavy. And, coffee and maybe, let's see, maybe a little sandwich, PB&J.
Okay.
Game's at 4 tomorrow, so I'll probably get to the field at 12:30. I like to sit there, chill. I'll go hit. With me being a catcher, I don't have to take defense. So I hit in the first group, which starters hit in the second group, but I personally like to hit my first group. And then while the starters are hitting, I'm supposed to be hitting in that group. Since I don't take defense, I'll go hit in the cage and work on anything that I need to work on. And then I'll go in the locker room, put my headphones on. Obviously, this is a home game, so obviously away games are a little different. But for my home game, before 3:30, because that's when I need to be out there, or 3 o'clock to get ready to throw the pitcher, I'm sitting with my headphones on, either watching successful plays of myself or sitting there with my eyes closed and envisioning what I'm going to do that day. So I like to now, this is something I just incorporated this year too, is that, obviously I envision myself catching barrels and hitting balls hard, but like I envision myself behind the plate making hard plays like a bunt on the run, sideways throw, or, I block a ball, throw somebody out a second, or, you know, just stuff that's absurd. So when it does happen in game, I've already ran it through my head. I've already done it. Or, swinging at a ball, but there's a close pitch or two strikes and putting it in, the gap and just being able to run things through my head that when that does happen in the game, it's not like deja vu, but it's something that I've done before and I've already seen myself do it. And I just like to very think successful things.
Mhm.
And I also need to get sour lifesaver gummies.
Okay.
That's my stuff. So that is my superstition too. I'm eating those before during the game for
I
sure.
got you. I got you.
For sure.
So two things. One, is there a go-to sort of like pregame song that you need? Like you need to listen to this specific song, or else it's not going to be a good day. Because I don't know if you know Connor Essenberg.
Okay.
I was able to interview him, and he said he listens to hot, it's a like an old school band like from the 90s. I'm blanking on it. Chili Hot Peppers.
Okay, Chili Albright, yeah. So that, yeah, I got you. I got you.
He and he's younger than me. I mean, like I'm not that old. He's a year younger. But I was like, what? Like that was the most random thing. He's like, he's got to
Yeah.
listen to that every time. Is there anything that you need to listen to in order to kind of have a good day, or
No,
are you just kind of
not really.
whatever's
I'm
going?
probably putting on my playlist. I'm listening to Young Boy, Little Baby. I'm getting like I'm a mood guy. Like I'm just like whatever gets my head bobbing, and whatever doesn't distract me from what's about to go on. While I'm listening to music, I'm thinking about successful things. So like, I have my walk up song going through my head. My walk up song this year is Need It by the Migos. So I got that playing on through my head. I just have things that get me in the zone. So obviously I have certain songs that I'll sit there and queue up that like, you know, in the past couple months that have got me feeling like I like to listen to music that like, sometimes I get in the mood when I'm driving sometimes and a song comes on, like motivates me for some reason. So like I try to listen to that type of music and just whatever that day. Like some days I could be feeling different. Some days I'll listen to Rod Wave. Maybe I
I
need.
got you.
So it does that. The song choice doesn't matter. It's more of what's gonna get me my chance to sit there and listen to
Totally.
or think about
Totally.
stuff.
I got you. And then my second question, you're a switch hitter.
Mm.
Um, Watching your highlights because I thought about this. I mean, I still watch some of my high school highlights. But what would you say is your favorite? I mean, swinging, right? Lefty or
Yeah.
righty? Which one? And for me personally, I'm not hopefully this doesn't influence you. I think a lefty swing on a barrel or something is beautiful. But
Yeah.
you obviously swing both ways. So which way would you say do you prefer? And then of watching
Mm.
your highlights, when you're watching those highlights, I'm assuming you have some from both sides. So what
Yeah.
was that kind of like?
No, I think my lefty swing is definitely prettier. I think a pure lefty swing is definitely prettier than a
Yes.
right-handed swing. For sure. It's just that's how. If you're a real baseball guy, you'll understand.
Mhm. It's hard to
Uh,
explain to like like a non-baseball fan, but
no,
like
for sure.
you watch
For
some
sure.
film on Bryce Harper.
I know
I
what you're
he's got
saying.
one of the beautiest, like
Yeah.
prettiest swings.
100%. But no, I like hitting both sides. Like I just know, if the lefty's on the mound, I like hitting righty. When the righty's on the mound, obviously I get a lot more left-handed at bats because there's a
Mhm.
lot more right-handed pitching. But I try to not change. I try to keep both swings the same, and my routine's the same on both of them. I'm not trying to, be two different hitters. So I'm trying to have the same approach and the same mindset. Obviously, my approach changes pitcher to pitcher,
Mhm.
obviously, but when it come to hitting mechanics and what I think of my swing, they're both the same.
Totally. And now we're gonna kind of talk about, right, your baseball career. Um, in 5 years, what do you see yourself doing? And it could be with baseball, whatever you think. What do you think you'll be doing in 5 years? And I'm assuming it's going to be something with base. Just a guess, right?
Yeah.
Educated guess. What would you say you would be doing in 5 years?
No, I definitely want to be a big leaguer. Like obviously I've done a lot of moves to not want to still reach my goal. Like obviously if big leagues wasn't in the picture, I probably would have just stayed at South Carolina just to have a jersey and just be an SEC player. But I've made moves specifically to give myself an opportunity to be shown in front of the right person. And like obviously I want to be in the big leagues. Like I want, I still got another year after this, but if, someone sees me and sees the value in me to give me the opportunity to play and get drafted, like I'll take that opportunity and continue to work hard. But that's my goal right now, and I have no, obviously I've going to college, and I obviously have a plan B because baseball is not going to be there forever, and obviously I'm in school right now, so I had to think I wasn't going to be the kid to just take like general studies and sports management just to make it easy on my
Yeah.
baseball career. Because even if I did make it to the league and had a good 10-year career, like you still, that's by the time you're 30, 35 years old, like you still need something to do
Yeah.
afterwards. So, I'm a computer science
Oh.
major, so I'm on that
Whew.
type of lines. And, when it comes to coding and, project management, like that's what I want to do. And so that would be my backup plan. But obviously my goal is to go to the big leagues and, I want to do that still for sure.
Yeah, and I mean, computer science, that's not a joke of a major. Like
No,
you
for
said,
sure.
like it is not just a you can go to class every one. Like you got to be in class, you got to do all that. Like that is
Right.
something um that is especially being in college, we have that major. It's not easy.
No, for sure.
For me, someone growing up that I loved watching was Paul Konerko.
Okay.
Who is someone that you kind of model your game after? Obviously, Paul Konerko was a first baseman. I ended up playing outfield, but who
Mhm.
is someone that you're like, I love watching this dude. I want to play very similar to this person.
I really enjoy, obviously with my generation, like obviously when I was younger, like watching Salvador Perez or Buster Posey, Yadier Molina. But then as I grow up, Adley Rutschman, just him simply playing college ball and got to watch him do what he did. Because I was still in high school when he was big time. So obviously I was a little older, but, it's not a lot of really good switch hitting catchers. So, getting to watch him play and, him being a really good switch hitting catcher, like defensively and offensively, really, I like to model my game around him. But, obviously got Cal Riley right now, too,
Yeah,
doing
yeah,
crazy things. Like, I'm not as big as him, so I don't know if I'll be able to hit 50 pumps in the league and, split it numbers from both sides. But, he's a gold glove behind the plate, too. So, like, I just try to, I used to really be, hitting didn't matter and just work on your game catching, but, like, that's not fun.
yeah.
And that's one thing now that I'm like, I want to be a really good catcher, but I want to rake too. I want to
Oh,
hit. Hitting's fun. Like when you're good at
yes,
hitting, hitting's fun. So like,
yes. Like for me, someone who, I mean, I've literally, when you get bored in the outfield, there's nothing much to do besides kick
right,
grass.
exactly.
Like I love making a good diving play every once in a while, but hitting a ball is a lot more fun than being, I have ADHD. I can see why you're a catcher because if I could have picked again, I would have been a catcher
No, I
because
got bad
you're
ADHD too.
you're
So
you're in the game every play. You can't take a play off. I
nope.
tried to play catcher, couldn't do it, and now after playing in high school and stuff, I wish I because sometimes I'll just be kicking the grass around, right, and then I'll look up and the ball's in the air, and I'm like, oh
Yeah.
god, like so being a catcher is one, I think, one of the more fun positions because it's not like the outfield where you might get two or three plays a game. You're in the
If
play
yeah.
every single game, and it's not just throw down a number. You gotta look at the runners, give the signs to the infield if there's a first and third. Like there's a whole lot more than just simply calling the pitches, and
Oh, absolutely.
that's why I think. have having a game where the catcher's arguably right a top three player in baseball right now in MLB. Like I
Yeah,
think that is so good for the sport. Having a catcher compete for the home run race, the home run crown. If you told someone that 10 years ago, they would have been like, "You're crazy." Like
yeah,
catchers, their position, I think in all baseball, all of them are starting to get more offensively dominant. And I
yep,
think seeing that for the catcher position is something awesome because
hundred
you're gonna
percent.
get an amazing like Gold Glove guy like a Yadier Molina, and now you get the power of a like obviously you have Cal Raleigh, but like a dude with great defense, and then you add basically Shohei Ohtani's power is
Yeah,
basically what he was doing. And he was doing it from both sides, which makes it even more impressive. It's not like he was just focusing righty. Like he's got to
yeah.
go basically half and half with that if he wants to be that successful. And I think that's why the MLB is, and I'm so excited for the season to start. Like it is, I'm beyond excited for that. But
No, me too.
growing up, what were your teams growing up, right? Because you kind of moved around a little bit. So what two teams that you kind of rooted for and that you're kind of excited to watch this year?
So I'm definitely a Red Sox fan. My dad's from Boston,
Boston,
so
yeah.
it's all of that. But I'm a Cubs fan. I'm a big Cubs fan. You know, obviously I was living in Chicago when we won it in
Yeah,
2016. So that was amazing. But I'm a big Cubs fan. I don't like the White Sox simply because
fair.
it's in the American League. You know, I'm a big Red Sox fan, but you know, I enjoy going to White Sox games though. Like those were fun.
The
Cubs
food is
games were fun.
food is.
White Sox food is
I'm a
amazing.
White Sox. Everyone's like, "Oh, Wrigley's better." Every counter argument to that is the food at Sox is better, and everyone
Oh,
goes,
100%.
That's true. I'm like,
Yeah,
yeah, give us that. Even though we have the single season loss record and we might not have a lot going for us, we have good food.
absolutely.
Like
Absolutely.
that's the one thing that I hold with Rate Field over Wrigley. Wrigley's obviously, if you're a baseball fan and haven't been there,
Yeah,
it's you got to go there.
you need to.
But Xander, thank you for taking time, right? Not only were you a college student, you also are in season. You got a game tomorrow. So thank you
Absolutely.
for taking time to out of your busy schedule, making room for me to interview you. It was a blast. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you guys for tuning in to today's episode of the John, your daily sports where we found out more about college baseball and the ins and outs of the game. Make sure to subscribe so you never miss another episode. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram for sports updates and hot takes in real time. Join me next time on The John, your daily sports sum, where we'll be dumping a stool of solid sports predictions. Until then, keep a game face on and stay regular. This is The John.
Don't nobody go in the bathroom for about 35, 45 minutes. Somebody open